Fellow safarians, and welcome to our sunset safari on a beautiful, glorious afternoon. We've had such a wonderful day already, and hopefully it will continue into our afternoon safari. My name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got VM the Wildebeest once again, and we are going to be coming to you live from South Africa. So that means hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat should you want to get hold of us and ask any questions, or if you just want to say hello. Now, I was saying that we've had a wonderful day so far, so for those who missed it, this morning we had 4 cheetah that finally made an appearance on Djuma for the first time ever, which was super exciting. And so we're going to try and head back into that direction. They did cross back into Buffelshoek, but you never know. Maybe they've come back again and are somewhere around Buffelshoek Dam. So we're going to go and have a little look around for them. And then we also had some wild dogs this morning too. So it was a endangered carnivore morning, and hopefully it will continue this afternoon and we might get a spotted cat of either the cheetah description or a leopard description. So that's the plan for the afternoon. Hopefully there'll also be lots of other interesting little things. I'm sure there's going to be lots of birds and insects and all kinds of wonderful things that we have out here. But before we do any of that, I need to go and quickly do our time lapse at Treehouse Dam. So that's where we're heading at the moment, and we're just admiring the beauty that is coming through slowly but surely. Every day it seems to be getting that little bit more green and a few more leaves on the trees, and it's just starting to look really quite wonderful out here. I'm actually quite surprised at how bright and green it's been, considering we've had a kind of couple of very overcast, nasty days, and cold. There's actually been quite a bit of growth through those cold days, and it's actually very, very pretty. Now, I just want to quickly check a track and have a little look if that's anything that I need to be concerned about. And no, I don't need to be concerned about that. It's just an impala. Now, I'm not the only one out this afternoon. Excuse me. It seems as though my throat is all catching up. But there is also, I believe, Brent and Taylor. And, well, both of them, I'm sure, are very excited to say hello. But let's go and say hello to Taylor first.
Hello, everybody. What a great way to start a Sunday afternoon sunset safari with 2 buffalo in a very muddy jacuzzi. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig, and well, we hope that you're going to enjoy the show, and we hope it's going to be action-packed just like this morning's drive was. Now, if you have just joined us, welcome. Of course, remember to hashtag Safari Live always on Twitter, and you can also chat to us via the YouTube chat. This morning we were driving around in this area, and we actually had 2 lionesses who we're hopefully going to find in a moment, but we seem to have stumbled across our buffalo first, which is quite cool. And I think it's quite fitting because yesterday afternoon we had an amazing sighting with buffalo bulls. We had quite a few of them, a little bachelor herd, who had been rolling around in the mud, but we didn't get to witness it. Although there doesn't seem to be much rolling around going on at the moment. They're really just sitting about, trying to keep nice and cool. It's been so hot today, but that actually hasn't been the problem. I wonder if these buffalo also haven't sat in the spot that they are because they're sort of lower than the grass and the road, so there's a bit of shelter. The wind was howling through the entire day. I, at one point, thought my tent was going to blow away, but it didn't. And as I say that, it seems as though they're finished, but of course, once you get out of the water, you've got to make sure that you wipe your eyes, so you don't have any mud in your eyes. That couldn't be very nice. But I'd probably try and put as much mud all over my face, because look at all those flies that are just hanging around them. We actually saw it quite nicely yesterday, though, with the sort of skyline just turning to the beautiful colours of the sunset, and then you could see those little flies and midges and things silhouetted quite nicely. I don't know, just a reposition. I thought they were going to get up and move on and perhaps go off and graze, but that does not seem the case. Let's see, the one on the left doesn't seem so sure about us now. Oh, there's the terrapin underneath the buffalo's feet. It's just crawling away. You might be able to see it. Now there it goes, just towards the back legs. That's so funny. It might be difficult for you to see, Craig. It's just hanging around there. So I think it's gone behind. How cool is that, though? So, of course, the terrapins will hang around in these little temporary pools, and they're going to have to travel quite a fair distance to get to the next water source, but they will also estivate. Oh, there it is. I can see it again. It's just moving at the buffalo's bottom feet. Just right. It's just going into the water now. You see, just crept in. And one of my favorite things to see is a buffalo leaping out of the water because a terrapin has bitten something that was not a tick. Kristen, you said that you bet these buffalo smell wonderful. Yes, I suppose. A bit stinky. Obviously, there was some sarcasm there. They smell like, let me try and describe this to you. It's obviously quite sort of dank, stinky mud. And then, well, buffalo just aren't a pleasant smelling creature anyway. They're very dirty. What are you doing, buffalo? Just sit down. Obviously getting its legs stuck in the mud. Oh, they're having a great time. They roll around and try and cover themselves completely. But it's a bit small, this little wallow. But now you can also see how easy it is for mud wallows to develop. I always talk about it on bushwalk, and it's so nice to see a little wallow starting to develop. But just as this buffalo uses his horns, you saw how he got them stuck in the side of the wall there, and he'll dig around, rolling about, splashing all the mud out. It just is going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. You wouldn't want to slide on in there with the wet roads. This is quite cool though that they're relaxed. Yesterday we had buffalo death staring us. Today they seem to be smiling. Yes. Now you can see all those little midges around that poor buffalo's head, and Rita, you said you can't believe how many little flies there are there. It's an absolute pain, and I'm so glad that there are wild animals there, or around here, sorry, because if it wasn't for them, I think that the flies would be coming to sit on us, and well, that would not be fun. We'd have to wear a bee suit out on safari. Boys, have you seen any lions today? Because there were 2 around here. Not that you'd be particularly bothered by lions. I'm actually just scanning around quickly now, so I'm going to check some spots. Do we see a lion? Oh, there's a rocks. Craig, should we look for lions? Good idea, says Craig. Sometimes I have them. I'm just quickly having a quick look. I just want to check the base of the escarpment, because that's where these lions were. I don't know where they were moving. I think I see them. I don't know though. Okay, let's move. Very far away, I can see something's head sticking out of the grass. No, buffalo, I've given you a wide berth. Right, birds. Okay, so we're going to head in that direction. And I'm going to keep checking, because they could honestly they could be anywhere around here. But sometimes I have to concentrate. Here, let's go. Let's get back on the road now. I didn't want to disturb the buffalo, so I went above them. Oh, these cars. Like driving tanks, or what I'd imagine a tank to be like. I don't know where the cubs were. We didn't see the cubs. Obviously, we had them last night. But I don't know where the lionesses left them. I'm sure it wouldn't have been too far away, somewhere around here. But we'll keep searching, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be successful this afternoon in finding those lions. Tristan, by the sounds of it, is doing a bit of a watering hole patrol. Hopefully there'll be some animals taking a drink.
Well, no animals having a drink. There is a plane that is coming past, which I think has just dropped off some guests, or is about to drop off some guests. So there goes the plane. Well done, Liam. It's good practice for when we have some raptors. And so this is how some of the guests get into this area, is by a small plane, and they land at the airstrips like we've seen at Chitwa and Arathusa, and they kind of make their way. So we're at Treehouse Dam. Just to quickly do the time lapse, there's no sign of really anything at the moment. It seems all quite quiet. There's the odd terrapin and a blacksmith lapwing, but otherwise it's all very sort of placid down at the dam itself. It hasn't had Hosanna around for a while, but what I will tell you that is beautiful is the reflection of the clouds and the trees in the water. It's quite pretty, and I think we're going to have an absolutely insane sunset. If this cloud can just lift slightly and the sun can creep underneath, we should get some really beautiful stuff. So I'm hoping a little bit later to have a little look for a sunset. Now, I'm going to try and move on and go and check Twin Dams. I had lots of interesting news today. It's been quite an interesting kind of day. It was started out with obviously lots of amazing sightings, and then VM and myself and Jared, we did a whole bunch of work on the vehicles and cleaned up everything, and you can see, look how clean Rusty looks. So Taylor would be very proud. He's as clean and as spotless as I've seen Rusty in many a moon. We even vacuumed and did all kinds of other things under the seats, took all the seats out, cleaned up everything. So Rusty's is in in about as good a condition as possible. And I felt a bit bad because this morning I took Rusty out and we beat Rusty up a little bit following those dogs, so we gave it some TLC, and Rusty's feeling a lot better about life and is feeling quite solid. So after all of that, I then decided just to get hold of some of the guys and just find out what's been going on around us, because we've had a few issues with radio comms and I haven't really been able to kind of catch up with where kind of Mvula ended up, or what's happening with Hosana and how big is the kill that he had, and all these kind of things, just to kind of see what's been happening. And I had some very interesting news, and it goes along the lines of Djuma. Now, Djuma is a male leopard, for those of you who don't know, that occurs to our north in Buffelshoek. Well, so we think. But apparently, Djuma has been making himself rather well known around Arathusa and Simbambili. They said that they've seen him probably about 5 or 6 times in the last 10 days, all hanging around the Simbambili Arathusa cut line and our cut line as well. And so he seems to be putting his foot down in that area and really sticking around. They said they've seen him quite a few times, and he's actually starting to slowly but surely become quite relaxed. Now, what interests me about that whole thing is, why is this male leopard moving from an area where he's been for the last few years? He's been dominant all over Buffelshoek, the northern side of Djuma to a degree, and all of a sudden he's now starting to push further west. And I wonder if maybe quarantine is starting to push a little bit further north, or Tingana, I don't know. One of them must be giving some sort of pressure for him to go there. I just don't know how this is going to end, though. That's the interesting part about it, is because Tingana goes there, Anderson goes there, Mvula goes there, and it's now getting into a situation where we're kind of getting a whole mix of male leopards all together at once, and I don't quite know how that's going to end. And we know Mvula was heading in that direction, and Djuma was seen apparently yesterday morning pretty close to where we actually left Mvula the night before. So interesting. I'm hoping that the guys said they'll send me photos, because I just want to double check that it is Djuma and maybe not this other leopard that's been seen on Buffelshoek, with the one with the scar under his eye. So I just want to double check which leopard we're actually dealing with here. But very interesting to hear that there's a male leopard scent marking and calling and moving around Arathusa, Simbambili kind of cut line, and Triple M, which is our border with that area. So let's just keep an eye out, and it's going to be an area worth checking more often, and particularly if he's starting to relax a little bit and we actually can find him, it's certainly going to make a little bit of a difference. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are also wondering what the updates are on Hosana. Is that... No, it just looks like it. It almost looks like a leopard in the tree to my right. You see that marula in the background there, Wiem? Right in the distance. It kind of looks as though there was a leopard sitting and had its kind of tail hanging down, but you can't really see it from that angle. From the angle that I'm sitting, there's a little thickened area in the tree itself, and then it almost looks like a tail hanging down, but the tail part that's hanging down is actually just a branch of another tree, and so when I move, it doesn't look at all like a leopard anymore. But in Hosana's case, he's apparently left his kill now, so he's finished whatever it was. The guy said to me that it was an impala that he had. He had 2 different kills, and he made them within the space of about 2 days. One was a little baby duiker, and then he killed a scrubby, I think, and then he killed this impala that he's been feeding on for the last 2 days. And so he's left it and was left moving in a northeasterly direction away from that kill, which could pop him out onto Chitwa this afternoon. I'm not quite sure. We're going to just have to wait and see, and we'll try and head in that direction and maybe try and get a little glimpse of him if we have no luck with the cheetah. And then Shongile apparently was seen on the 5th of October. So for all of you that have been worrying about her, apparently she was seen on the 5th of October somewhere to our south between Little Gowrie and Hofmans on that cut line, which is a big deep drainage line. And so there apparently was no photos because the area was too thick, but like I say, I mean, from what I hear, that is where she was seen. So if you were wondering about the 2 little royals and what they've been up to, that's where they've been seen. As for Tumba, no sign of Tumba the last 2 days. He was last seen 2 days ago, crossing from our side into Chitwa and then into Little Gowrie. So he might be on Little Gowrie somewhere, I'm not quite sure, but we're going to go and scratch around all along the sort of eastern side of Djuma in case any of our boys are back, and then obviously those cheetah that we saw around this morning. So that's the kind of plans for this afternoon. But at least our leopard updates are quite intriguing and encouraging at the same time. So there's a bit of good news in all of that on all fronts, really. And it's interesting, like I say, that there's been this movement in these male leopards. I'm quite surprised that Djuma is that side. There must be somebody applying pressure somewhere for him to radically change his kind of area. Riti, you're asking if Djuma is related to Karula. Riti, as far as I know, no. I could be completely wrong. Obviously, a lot of this genetic kind of ideas that we have is not always 100% accurate, and that's why there is this study going on with Panthera to try and get the genetics right and to determine paternity of cubs, because while we know the mothers, obviously we don't know always who the fathers are, and if you look at somebody like Tamba, there's so much more resemblance to Mvula than there is Tingana, and so it's interesting. It would be really nice to know who the actual fathers are, but I don't think so. I don't think it's definitely not any of the daughters, unless Shavinzi has been in the Manyeleti and nobody's seen her and she's managed to produce a male cub that is Djuma, but I don't think so, because the timing would be all out. Djuma is older than what it would be for Shavinzi to have produced a cub and for him to have grown that side. So no, it can't be any of a direct offspring from any of Karula's daughters. In terms of Karula's grandmother Safari, it's definitely not from her litters, and so it can only be from the paternal side or from the father's side, and so we don't know. I mean, it's possible that Jordan maybe have mated, or Mvula, or I'm just trying to think who is Mafufunyan might have mated with a female and produced Djuma, but difficult to say. Without us testing, we wouldn't know. So as far as I know, no, he's not part of the Karula lineage at all. I'm not actually sure where he even comes from, or if we even know. I don't think we even know who his mother was, or if he came out of the Kruger or anything like that. So I think he's a fairly unknown entity compared to a lot of others. I might be completely wrong. I just don't know much about Djuma because I've never seen him, and because I've never seen him, I've actually never really spent too much time researching who he is and where he comes from and all of that. If anybody was to know, it would be Brent, and hopefully Brent sorts out his gremlins this afternoon and we'll be able to catch up with him and he can maybe tell us a little bit more about Djuma. I know Brent really looked into him and kind of tried to work a lot on trying to get him more relaxed, and so if anybody knows a little bit about this leopard, it would be Brent himself. Now we're just getting to Twin Dams. There's lots of antelope species around, so I don't think there's any of our cats. So the waterbuck is busy running away from us for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. At the end of the day, you would think that the waterbuck wouldn't have anything to worry about with us. But talking about Brent and his knowledge of this shy male leopard from the north, it seems as though he's managed to chase away his gremlins and he's ready to say hello to all of you. So let's jump across to him.
Welcome to another fabulous afternoon in the African bush. My name is Brent Lear Smith and I have Fergus Clark Camera on camera. And we are heading down towards the Chitwa crossing area, and I'm really hoping to find you an African blue flycatcher. Now, that's one of the only places I've seen them outside of on top of the escarpment, so fingers crossed. Had such a lovely morning birding, I thought we'll do a Sunday birding day. But of course, there's lots of other animals that we might see on our travels. Now, Tristan was chatting about Djuma. Now, Djuma is my favorite male leopard in that part of the Sabi sands, and no one's really sure where he came from. So he initially moved in from the southern Manyeleti into Buffels Hook, and started pushing Mvula from that side. At the same time as that happened, the Anderson arrived around the Arathusa, Sibambili area, and started pushing Tingana in towards Mvula's territory, which was traditionally the hold of Djuma. So poor old Mvula, as he got older and less able to defend himself against younger up-and-coming boxers like the Djuma and Tingana, he sort of got pushed into this very nomadic role he's in now, where he's ducking and diving and trying to avoid those males. Now, so Djuma could have come from very far away, but we know he came in from southern Manyeleti initially, and then has established himself on the northern boundary of Tingana's territory. Well, his southern boundary, Tingana's northern boundary, along the Buffels Hook cut line. I've seen him all the way from around Sydney's Waterhole, all the way down to Chitwa cut line, but he doesn't venture very far into Djuma normally, only a couple of 100 meters or so. Buffelshoek Dam seems to be the borderline between him and Tingana, and of course those borders are not exact, so they do cross either way. And so we spent some time, I think it was with Viam was with me when we were habituating Mr. Gajima. Now Gajima means run in Zulu, so he's used to running away from cars, and so that's where he got his name from. But over time, Tingana actually means shy, and Tingana also used to run away from cars, and you can see how relaxed he is now. So I would say Gajima is probably 6-7 years old, so maybe by the time he's 9-10, he'll be relaxed and provide us with some great viewing in that area. Now Jors from Buffelshoek has seen some incredible fights between him and Mvula. So when he initially came into that area, now he's quite relaxed at night. Well, not Tingana or Hosanna relaxed, but you can get within about 30 meters of him at night. During the day, you really have to keep your distance from him. And if you do want to spend time with him, you normally have to go very slowly. So you start far away, talk, let him get used to the sound of you and the car. Sometimes it's good to leave the car running before moving closer. But he's a very, very cool leopard, a very, very good-looking male leopard. Now, we're heading down towards the river, so there's always a chance we might bump into a leopard around here. Not this time, the time before when I was across the river, we saw quite a lot of leopards. Unfortunately, they were in gremlin zones, including one male who was very much like Gajima, very, very skittish. We only sort of got glimpses of him during the day, but he was in a very deep lugger, quite close to where Malika killed that wildebeest. And he had killed quite a big baby buffalo, so quite an impressive feat. And but we weren't able to show him. Now, what happens with a lot of the leopards in this area, specifically because it's such a big area, there are areas that don't get used too often, and that leads to these skittish animals. But however, there are some very relaxed leopards, and hopefully we're going to find one or two of them this afternoon. Although I've gone to this area over and over looking for leopards, and I still haven't had any luck. So who knows, maybe Ferg is going to bring us the good luck with the leopard this afternoon. In the meantime, Taylor is looking for the little sausages with the pale white cub.
And I have yet to find them, Brent. Can you believe it? They've given us the slip. I wonder if because of the hectic wind that we had today, they maybe are just hiding away somewhere. They've just taken to a bit of shelter. It would have been an absolute nightmare being out in that weather today. Even though it was hot, it's just very unpleasant. So I think what we're going to do is we'll probably hang around here. I'm just going to check. So we went to the breakfast rock and we've come back and we haven't had any sign just yet. As I said, that I'm just going, there's another lugger here that they do like. So I just want to check a little bit further past it. And then I think if we don't get lucky here, what we might do is go back to the Angama Pride, which we had very briefly this morning. We left them shortly after arriving because they disappeared in the long grass and we couldn't see them anymore. However, they're edging their way closer to the off-roading section, which is quite nice. And we always talk about animals being creatures of habits, lions almost certainly. So hopefully they walk the same route that they normally do when they edge closer to that main road, hop on over to the off-roading section. They'll probably go up towards the forest. There's lots and lots of eland. Remember we saw eland with Brent this morning up on the escarpment road. That massive nursery group with all those little ones in would be a very easy target for a big pride of lions. So maybe that's what we're going to see this evening. So I think we'll head there, but we'll just keep going. We're also going to hug the one of the forests as well. Maybe we'll see what birds are around, see if we can find that greatest spotted eagle. Very cool. I only saw it, so I didn't get a look at it. And it was nice that Brent got a new bird. It's not often who's been in the industry for such a long time can get a new one. Bex, please can I have that again? I'm so sorry, I only got half of what you said there. Communication problems continue. you've said that you see Maurice. Here he is. Hello, Maurice. Have you been behaving today? His ears are a bit not... Let me straighten him out. Maybe I must stop. Can't drive and handle Maurice. It's ludicrous. Okay, right. Well, for those of you who don't know who Maurice is, Maurice was a birthday present and is my favorite knitted teddy that I've ever received in my entire life. Isn't it so cool? So he comes on safari with me all the time. You know, I know he's got a pink and orange scarf, but it is a boy. He's like that. He's trendy. And he just sits there and he watches you while we go about. Okay, so... Actually, we just look up here. This is where I think the Sausage Tree Pride have gone. I think they're somewhere around here. It's not an unusual spot. We often see them heading up to that hill, especially on very, very hot days. So it is a good spot. Very shady. It's up on the hill. We saw that lioness sitting on Termite Mound this morning, and we know that she was looking for something. They hadn't caught anything. Or maybe they've already caught something. That's also a possibility. With it being hot, the warthogs also would have been wallowing away, and maybe they were able to catch one of the pigs. Okay, well, we'll carry on. We'll go through here. We'll keep searching for them. Whee! This is my favorite part. Okay, we're going to go through this wonderful, mighty... Hang on, before I do that. Can you see it, Craig? Or is it too close to the car? It's actually... There's a little terrapin's head that's just popped up. How cool is that? Luckily, it moved out of the way. I'm going to have to shout to all the terrapins now not to get under my tires as I go through this very, very muddy section. So while I engage 4x4 and try not to squash these beautiful reptiles, let's go back across to the very gloomy South Africa and see what's happening in the bush.
Well, we've just bumped into a herd of elephants. How cool is this? It's been a while since we've seen these guys. So there's a whole big herd of them, which is super cool. So it seems as though all the animals that we've been missing have come back to Djuma in the last few days. So we've had the Angama pride back, we've had buffalo back, we've had ellies back, and cheetah, and wild dogs actually. So it's been all the kind of things that have been missing over the last little bit have slowly but surely started to arrive in this general area, which is so cool. Like, these guys have just come out of nowhere. I haven't even seen tracks for them. I saw some tracks in the Mulawati last night, and I was saying this morning that I wanted to look for them, and I just don't know where they've come from. They must have come from Chelapan side and then just crossed over while I was talking to VM about all kinds of things, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I just want to try and reposition myself slightly just so we can get a better view of them, because I've parked a little bit badly, but I was a bit excited because we saw elephants, which is really cool. And it's been, like I say, a while since I've seen these guys, so I just want to try and get round this little bush so that VM can see a little bit better. There we go, Vildy. That's a nice little view. Hello, girl. Ah, so good to see them. Paula, you say, yay, elephants. I agree, Paula. It's been so long since we've had a herd of elephants that I'm a bit kind of, I don't know which ones make me more excited, the wild dogs, the cheetah, or the elephants. I think that the cheetah probably won today, but it is super cool to see them. And like I say, it was just to see a herd of them, and it's been so long since I've seen a female elephant that I was beginning to forget what they look like, and they seem to be super chilled. The rest of them have kind of moved off into a thicket already, but they are slowly meandering their way along, feeding, which I would expect at this time of the day. It's that kind of day where the elephants can feed right out in the open, even in the early afternoon. It's not too hot, it's a bit of cloud cover, and it's the perfect conditions to kind of move around and just feed as much as possible to sustain that rather large stomach and to keep that digestive system that works so quickly and keep that all kind of fed and well looked after. But you can see that they're looking in fairly good condition, actually. The ellies, the last time I saw a lot of the herds, you were starting to see the stresses of winter coming through, and an elephant doesn't very often show stresses of malnutrition because it takes a lot for them to battle to find food. But after sort of 2 years of drought, some of the ellies were a little bit on the thinner side, but they're actually looking good. I would imagine a lot of them have found really good vegetation. You can see how this female, she's digging with her trunk almost to try and find all of those nutritious little green plants that are growing inside there, and she's actually not eating too much of the brown stuff. She's really trying to focus on the new green shoots that are coming through so that she can try and actually get the really across and move. This is where they're heading, is into a really dense thicket. They're going to go into a really dense thicket now, so we're going to try and avoid that as much as possible and try and get into an area where we can see them. Now, I apologize if you went away for a second and there was a little gremlin that jumped on board. Don't worry, we've kung fu chopped them and gotten rid of them, so they're all out the way. But this is a nice herd. I can see quite a few ellies. I'm sorry, my girl. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't be like that. Why are you so grumpy all of a sudden? You were absolutely fine. So she's being a little bit on the grumpy side, and I'm not sure why. Out of nowhere, she's just gotten a bit cheeky. Interesting. Paula, you're asking if elephants are nomadic or do they have a home range? Well, they've got a home range, but they are quite nomadic within that group, within that area. Their home ranges are really large and they move around quite a bit and they follow food as it goes. In extreme circumstances, that home range kind of boundary falls away a little bit and they'll just keep pushing until they can find food. But generally, they have a home range that they'll move around in, and it's not like a territory where it's actively defended and it's very defined boundaries. Home ranges tend to be quite fluid. It depends on resources, food, water, those kind of things, and that will dictate how they move around. And that's maybe why we haven't seen too many of the ellies lately. But I don't really know what got into her bonnet, because she displayed no signs of being upset with us. She was fine until we got just behind her, and then she just all of a sudden, and you can see now she's back to feeding and completely fine again. So I don't know why she got a bit upset, but it happens that way, and you've just got to unfortunately stand there or sit there in our case and just absorb the bit of aggression when they're that close, because if you sort of make too much noise and you shout and you make a lot of sort of heightened aggression towards them, it often just ramps up the situation and they get a little bit more upset. So it's always good just to stay calm with elephants. I know it seems like an odd thing to say, but when an elephant starts coming towards you and it's aggressive or something like that, the calmer you are, I find, with elephants, the better. So the more you just talk to them in a passive way, and the more that you just kind of display, if you're on foot, on a very relaxed body language, you tend to be able to figure things out a lot better, and the elephants themselves tend to relax a lot more. So it's just one of those things out here. Elephants do sometimes get a little bit funny, and it could be because they haven't been here for quite some time, and the vehicle coming through, also it's just a different kind of object. Remember, our vehicles are slightly different shape to a lot of others, and these guys might have not have seen our vehicles for a while and just kind of gotten a little bit of a fright when I came behind her. So at least it's all calming down now, and she's a far more relaxed character. As soon as you start to see elephants feeding, you know that they've started to relax and that they're not too bad. But maybe this is why yesterday I struggled to find them. Maybe they're just a little bit more on the shy side, this herd, and that yesterday they kind of moved into the thickets when I was around, and now they're moving back again into thickets when this vehicle came along. But there is a lot of them. They spread out all over. There's another one that's here in front. I saw some more on the left-hand side, and that's partly why I actually didn't notice this female getting upset with me, because I was looking at a whole bunch on the left that were busy kind of moving towards the road itself, and it just goes to show you, it's always just keep your eye on the ones closest. Ilana, who's 14 years old, you asking if an elephant wasn't limited in age by its teeth, because remember, elephants only have a limited number of teeth, so they only have 6 sets of teeth in their lifetime. So if they had more, let's say they had 9, 10, 11, or an unlimited supply, how long do I think they would live for? Well, I don't know the answer to that. They definitely would live longer, and they would live for a lot longer probably, but I don't know exactly how long. There's no scientific evidence to suggest how much longer. But if we take something like an elephant that's been in a zoo, that's fed a very controlled diet, generally it's soft pellets that are good for the teeth, some of those elephants are going up to 90 years old, whereas here in the wild and in the Kruger area, most of our elephants are only living to 55, 60 years. So I mean, that's adding almost 40 years or even 30 years to that total. So maybe if they had unlimited teeth and they really kind of looked after themselves, we might get 100. I don't know, but it would kind of get them a little bit. But at the end of the day, they also have things like heart failure and all kinds of other organ failure when they get a little bit older. So I would say maybe they could get to 100, but it would be an interesting thing to see, and unfortunately not one that we can ever test. But I'm going to just try and kind of roll forward again. I just want to be careful with this female. I don't want to push her too hard. At the end of the day, she's already shown me once that she's a little bit on the grumpy side if I come too close, so it's just kind of edging as she goes forward. I'll just edge with her, but not really get too close to her and not push her too much. So as long as she's feeding and she's not throwing her ears out at me, I'm quite fine to follow her and just let her do her thing and kind of dictate the rules to us. Jennifer, you say maybe she was just deep in thought when we came along. Maybe she was just kind of showing me that how to remember to be around elephants. I don't know. It just seems as though something got her going. It also could have been something might have run out as she was going through, because she was going through quite thick bush at the time, and so you never know, maybe a little squirrel ran or a mongoose or something like that, and that triggered her to be a little bit on the kind of upset side. And then I come behind, in a big vehicle, and Rusty at the moment's got a tiny little fuel tank leak, and there's quite a strong smell of fuel. That also might have made her just feel a little bit uneasy. It's an unusual smell, something different that she doesn't know, and so it might have made her a little bit on the grumpy side. But she's okay now. She's settling right down, and hopefully she'll be okay. I'm just going to leave her where she is and try and just move forward through the herd a little bit, and hopefully she'll be okay back there. I'm sure she will be, and hopefully the rest are going to be somewhere where I can actually see them, because it looks like most of them have now crossed into this really dense thicket, and what's on the other side is where we kind of want to be, probably, to see them. Where we are now is not the greatest place. I would have thought we would have seen more of them from where we are. It looks like they've already gone down into the drainage line. Let's just check here. There's a little way through that we can check and just make sure as to where they've gone. Otherwise we're going to have to go all the way around onto the other side, which is quite fine. We can do that as well. But there's a little kind of gap in here. Proud cat mama, no, the elephant sus does not stop growing. It just continually grows and continually gets worn down. So it's a situation where as much as it's growing, it's also being used a lot, and so you get a situation that they are constantly wearing their teeth down. But these ellies look like they're going to cross onto the other side. I can just see one straight in front of me. You can just see the back of it going the other side. So I'm not going to bash through all of this to go and view them from this side. If they're moving the other way, I'm going to just go all the way around, and we'll be able to get them from the other side. And it's going to be far better, because I'm not going to stress these elephants in any way, and I'm not going to make them kind of push them things faster. I'll just go around and then they'll walk straight towards where I am. So while I do that, I believe Taylor, who has been on a quest to find the tawny predators of the Masai Mara, seems to have come up with a little bit of luck, I think, and has found what she was looking for.
So we haven't got anything specific. If you're probably wondering, trying to search in the grass behind the trees, what on earth are we looking at? We're looking at the insects that are buzzing about at the moment, and there are dragonflies. And we've been seeing so many sorry about that. Tristan, no, I'm just getting what Tristan said. There's a bit of a delay. No, we're not with the line. We didn't find our lines just yet, but we found the dragonflies, which is quite cool. Now, they're amazing insects. They fly incredibly fast. And I was wondering, I'm just going to take a guess here. Trying to figure out why there are so many dragonflies all in one area. I can't ever remember seeing this in South Africa. Maybe I was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But there are clearly swarms of them, and I wonder if that's a hunting strategy. Obviously, they're looking for flying insects, from flies to mosquitoes. They'll catch all sorts of things. They are ferocious predators. And I wonder if they fly like this, if the insects that are buzzing about in between them, it might help sort of flush them out, or if, I don't know if they work together. We obviously see birds using food parties to help feed. I wonder if it's a similar thing with dragonflies, that they all fly around like this. But it is absolutely beautiful. And they're so precise. They don't come anywhere near the cars. Well, they fly over the cars, but they don't fly into you like the beetles do, or the alates. They know exactly where they're going and what they need to do. That's really cool. We need to keep a lookout for dragonfly larvae, which we'll see in the water. Actually, we must start doing that. Mosquito larvae too. When we start doing bushwalks again, quite nice. See anything in the mud wallows. And then Craig and I were talking about leopards. I still can't believe I have not seen a leopard around this particular area. Craig's seen one with James, and he said it ran away. It wasn't a particularly relaxed one. Which is still quite nice. Now, Umka, you've said, looking at all this beautiful green grass, you're wondering if there's any invasive species of grass or plants in the Mara. With grasses, I'm not so sure if there are any. There are definitely plenty invasive plant species, though. There's the jumping jacks up around camp, so many of them. There's a lot of Lantana camara, which is not a great species, which we try and remove around camp as well. We try and get rid of as much of the alien vegetation as we can. And then we have seen it in the area where Brent is actually heading to, near the Chitwa airstrip. We've seen the prickly pear, and that must be one of the most invasive species of plants in the world. So yes, there are. And there's always efforts to try and get rid of it. You don't want it around, but the problem is when you've got wild animals that will feed on it, they obviously help with the seed dispersal. And when you've got something like an elephant that eats tons and tons of vegetation every single year, and as well as then tons and tons of dung, it can become a huge problem, and they travel such large distances as well. And then of course you get some of the encroachment species that we don't like. For example, I just drove past one. I should have stopped. Sorry. I'll see if I can find another one. I always talk about it. The Daterus tremonium, the mulpita, which is not a particularly nice plant. It grows in heavily disturbed areas. We will find some. It grows all along the main roads. Obviously, when the tractors have come through and they've dug up the mitre drains so that the water can run off the side, it will just pop up there. All around the dam, Vuyatela Dam. If you have a look on the dam cam, actually, you'll see that it's got a very sort of a wide splay leaf. It's got very spiky seed pods and a beautiful white flower on it, but it's actually quite toxic, particularly the seeds. And we don't like that very much. And then I was talking about Lantana. We do have an indigenous species of Lantana, though, Lantana rugosa, the bird, what's that bird's brandy, which is delicious. And Brent keeps telling me about this bush that's growing quite close to his tent, and one day he took me to show me, and he says the berries are coming, I can't wait to eat it. I think it's one of his favorite fruits to eat. So we've got some snacks around Camp Craig for when you get hungry and there's nothing in the kitchen, the food order hasn't arrived. But the other lantana you don't want. It's got a milky latex that's quite toxic. It can poison a lot of different animal species. But of course there's beautiful flowers on it, so very important for bees and other insects that will be pollinating or looking for pollen and stuff. I suppose it's okay to have them around. They're very pretty to look at. Yeah, and they were brought in as an ornamental plant. A lot of the invasive species end up out here just because they thought they were pretty and nice to grow in a pot or around the garden, and then unfortunately then it just spreads like wildfire. Isn't it amazing? You take a plant out of a country, bring it into a new one that it's never been before, and then it thrives. Okay, well, we're going to head towards, I think, the Angama Pride. We haven't had any luck with the Sausage Tree Pride. Maybe later. Brent has beaten us all to finding the first cat.
See, that's what happens when you go bird watching and you're not focusing on lines. You find a very lazy big boy. One of the Chitwa or triangle males. Isn't he beautiful? He is looking very, very much like he is not. He doesn't have any plans to move anytime soon. I'd say he's been lying in the shade of this poor dead. What is it? It is a boskia. It is a shepherd's tree, I think, for the majority of the day. You can actually hear him breathing, even over the strong wind. There are some giraffe wandering past in the background. They don't look like they've spotted him just yet. The other giraffe directly in front of us has spotted another lion. And you can see that one there. Where is he there? Now he stopped looking, but staring intently towards the edge of the croton thickets. Till about 3 seconds ago, both of those were. And there's another male lion sleeping down there. Where is he now? A little bit more, I think, Ferg. There he is. There we go. So two out of 4 are around. That could mean all 4 out of 4 are around, spread out through this area. Well, hello Ilana, who's 14 years old. Ilana is saying lions have better night vision, right? But do they have the same day vision as people? Ilana, you are spot on. Indeed, they have very, very good night vision, about 8 times better than us. But their day vision is very good, as equal, not probably, but as equally as good as their night vision. However, it is not like our vision. So our vision, we see lots of different colors and we see detail. A lion doesn't see nearly as much color, and also it's not as in focus. So, what we would call in focus, their eyes are designed specifically to pick up movement, and that's because of how they hunt. Now, with our eyes, we need to see color and we need to see detail, so we don't eat any poisonous berries and things like that from when we were evolving out in the African bush, because of course, modern day humans have only been in our current form for about between 200 and 400,000 years, the same as our lion lying next to us. So we actually evolved at the same time, but we evolved very different survival strategies. We evolved dominant while the lions are sleeping, so we weren't wandering around at night where the lions were going to eat us. Well, it looks like he wouldn't eat anything right now, but of course that can change in a couple of seconds. Hey Fatso. He's not listening to me today. And now remember, if you want to ask questions like Ilana just did, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Snazzy says, I think that lion is oh so pretty. Almost want to break out into song. I feel pretty, so pretty. No, he is a very beautiful male. They're in their prime. He's probably about 9 years old. Maybe a little bit, between 7 and 9, in their prime. And he seems to have, he's got a few little snicks and scratches, but nothing too serious. Now, one of these boys is missing the tip to his tail, and another one is missing the canine. So while he's snoozing, we can't if he is the one that is called Fang. And nice strong breeze, so he's being, most of the flies are actually keeping off him. There's a few on his schnoz, and one or two on his lips, but other than that, he's actually quite lucky. You can see there's a bit of blood around, probably from a bit of a boxing match with one of his coalition members. Now, sorry Megs, we broke up a little bit there. What was that question from Richie again? Oh, he's tired kitty. Dreaming of next year when the migration returns. Oh, he's up. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, he's down. Riti is wondering, how do lions maintain their fluffy mane like this one? Naturally, Riti, it grows. So chunks of mane will come out in a fight, but it does grow quite quickly, and they don't really do any maintenance on it. Unlike us human beings who maintain our hair, they don't do any maintenance whatsoever. I think he's going to maintain his position, so I'm going to bumble on towards the next male. I'm still in search of that African blue flycatcher. However, the wind is not in our favor for a birding day. Oh wait, there's some crown cranes. Let's go have a look at those. Are they crown cranes? Yes, they are. So they're about 30 seconds down the road, so we'll go have a look at them before we head back down towards the river and the other male lion. Now, They are so wonderful in this area, the crown cranes, but just because we can get so close to them, and they are truly, truly exquisite birds. And I've got a question. Well, there's a piece of paper trying to escape from... I've got a question for everyone. And let's see, no cheating, no Google cheating. What country has the crowned crane as its national bird? Fergus, do you know? Ah, Fergus doesn't seem to know either. Here we go. A pair of lovely crowned cranes. Of course, they are monogamous. Beautiful birds. Voice, not so beautiful. Now, further north in Kenya, you get the northern crowned crane, which is a little bit darker. There we go. Finding some hohos to eat. It is quite ridiculous, that hairdo. Speaking of hairdos, we just chatted about the male lion's hairdo. Now looking at the crowned crane. Oh, there we go. You get that grasshopper. They are very, very pretty birds. Oh, well, our cranes keep... we got some... Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked there. We got some answers in. We've got Japan as an answer. I think Japan do have a type of crane as their national bird. I can't remember. It's not a whooping, but it's not the crown crane. The crown cranes are endemic to Africa. And someone else said Botswana. Unfortunately, Botswana is not right. Botswana and Kenya have the same national bird, which is the lilac-breasted roller. South Africa, of course, has the blue crane as its national bird, so not the crown crane. Now, in the early mornings here in the Mara, you hear them a lot. Honk, honk, honk. Not the most lovely sound in the morning. Edu and Kathy, you are correct. Spot on, 100%. Uganda's national bird is the crowned crane. And of course, I'm very excited. In a few short sleeps, Jamie and I will be going to Uganda, as well as with Rebecca and Batman. And, Rebecca and Batman are missing the birding section of the holiday. They're going to the beach in Kenya instead. But we're going to go look for shoebills, which is a type of stork, and then go white water rafting. Very exciting. And I'm sure we will see a lot of the crowned cranes while we travel through the beautiful country of Uganda. Now, who knows, while we're paddling our hearts out down the Nile River, we might encounter the animal that Tristan is still with.
Well, we will, hopefully, and these ellies, well, Brent will hopefully encounter them, but these ellies are feeding off probably one of the most interesting jackalberries we've got around at the moment. It almost looks as though it's in its autumn colours rather than its spring colours, and the leaves are all kind of a reddish copper colour. And it looks very unusual in this environment, but the ellies are absolutely loving it. Well, in particular, Mom and her little one, who's tucked in there somewhere. I can't see it anymore. It was invisible under the tree, but it's now moved off, I think, just to the left there. And there we go. There's a little trunk sticking out. So it's not a tiny, tiny baby, but it is able to use its trunk already and is feeding away. But it's just so great to be sitting and hearing elephants around me again. It's a weird thing to have not had them for so long, and you miss that sound. It's just nice to hear the kind of breaking of branches and the roughness of their skin rubbing up on trees. It's a wonderful thing when they are around. I absolutely love spending time with these guys. They're such gentle giants, and they're amazing animals. And look at how the trunk is being poked through that tree. It's an incredible thing how far an elephant can actually reach. I mean, she's standing on the other side of the tree and is reaching through the middle and is feeding off the opposite side, basically, and is still able to get all the nutrients that she needs and feed quite easily. It's an amazing thing to do. I wonder, they don't seem to be the most relaxed elephants, so I'm pretty interested to know where these guys would have come from, because even me trying to come down here, as soon as I came down, they started to move away from me again and change direction, and so that's why I've stopped where I am and why we're watching them from quite a distance. But if these guys are not used to vehicles, it's a very interesting thought as to where they must have come from. They must come from deep inside the Kruger, where they haven't seen too many cars and have now moved up into the Sabi sand section and got to get used to us off-roading vehicles once again. But there's a great go-away bird that is alarming behind me. Why are you two alarming? You can hear all of them are alarming. VM, do you see a bird of prey in the sky anywhere? That's very weird. I wonder why all of a sudden everybody just started calling all the grey go-away birds in the area. So I don't know if maybe, just maybe, there's some sort of predator that they've spotted. It could be a snake, it could be a bird of prey, it could be anything. And just the way that they're going tends to suggest that they've seen something in this general vicinity. Maybe one of the elephants has disturbed some sort of predator, like I say, maybe a snake or something like that. It often does happen that way, but super interesting. Now, all that commotion while I was watching the grey go-away birds, our elephants have disappeared. How, I don't know. So I have to try and figure out a way to get back with them and not chase them along. There they are, just on top. You can see as soon as I start, the ears go out and they listen again, and they're kind of taking in their environment. It's weird. I don't know why they're so unrelaxed, but I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up the bank and I'm going to go towards the little water mud wallow that's behind me, and I'm going to stop there. And if they start coming my direction, then I'll kind of watch them. Otherwise, I think I'm going to leave them. I don't want to disturb them too much. And it's not nearly as big a herd as I thought. They were so spread out at one point that I thought there were lots of them all together. Now, you may be wondering also why there is a small branch on Rusty after I've cleaned Rusty so nicely. You would think that I would not want to litter it with more vegetation. But the reason I picked this is because while I was driving here, I parked right on top of this, and the smell is overpowering. And so I looked down, and it's got what we very seldom see on them, other than at this time of the year. And I'll turn it so that you can see them a little bit better, but it's got its little fruits on it. And so this is a ivy grape, or baboon grape is actually the right name for it, and this has got a very pungent smell to it. And apparently if you break these leaves and rub it on you, it is supposed to deter biting flies and various other things. But it's amazing just to see the little kind of grapes, if you want to call them, that are starting to grow. You can see they start off a green color, and then they start to go more to the reddish coloration, and you'll find baboons will feed off this, monkeys, various other things. But the birds are going absolutely crazy behind me, so I want to turn around and quickly go and investigate. I remember actually at one stage seeing a black mamba in the very tree that those birds are sitting in, and I wondered if maybe luck might strike again and a black mamba might still be sitting in that tree or moving in that tree. So I want to turn around. Of course, it also could be anything else. It could be a owl, it could be a other type of snake, it could be a leopard, it could be anything. So worth just having a little look in this general vicinity. I just want to go to the tree where the go-away birds are, because they're the ones making the most noise. So I'm going to try and head in that direction quickly. Right, now I'm going to try and get through this. It's going to be a little bit of a big, well, actually it's going to be a big lean. It's not going to be a little lean. So we're going to try and negotiate this. And while we do, Taylor Mack, who I said earlier had found what she was looking for, and she hadn't because I wasn't really listening properly, has found this time what she's looking for.
Well, Tristan, I hope that whatever was causing a stir in the bush in South Africa reveals itself. It'd be quite nice if we all have cats this afternoon. But finally, we've arrived at the Angama Pride. Look at that little one grabbing hold of the sibling's tail. Now, at the moment, we've got a carpet of cats, as you can of course see, and it's just the youngsters that are here. So all the little ones of various ages are all just starting to wake up. You can see them big yawns, and then of course rolling around and tackling one another every now and then. And it's quite nice. The adults, I haven't quite found them just yet. I did see one, but we'll have a look at them in a little bit when these little ones start playing about. And they are looking in the direction of those eland and zebra, closer to the escarpment, so that's quite promising. But for now, I'm excited to have some little ones playing around. I don't know when I last saw or actually spent time with young lion cubs playing. It's one of the most amazing things to see, and if you are fortunate to ever come on a safari, I hope that the areas that you go to are filled with lots and lots of little lions, just like the ones that we're looking at right now. You know, when they're sleeping, they're not much joy to watch, but They're so feisty, especially the way the older cubs gang up on the younger ones. Look at that little one there is super, super feisty. Yeah, you've bitten off a bit more than you can chew. You better get out of there very, very quickly, little lion. Otherwise you're going to get beaten up. But they won't hurt each other. I mean, I'm sure those teeth are very sharp and the claws are sharp. And it must hurt to an extent. I mean, all of you who have had puppies and kittens know what it's like when they play with you. But they are tough. They're not going to kill one another. So it's all in good sport. And it's very important. And I mean, look at that little one on the right. It keeps going back for more. So it can't not be enjoying itself. Now, if this is your first time watching Safari Live, welcome. Remember, this is live. This is interactive. Yes. Getting grumpy now. See. Didn't like that. Got too rough. And they'll vocalize, they'll growl and hiss. Sorry, so what I was going to tell you is to hashtag Safari Live. Or any of the questions that you have. Little one, yes. Play with one your own size. You'll have a better chance. Now, Paula, you're wondering how old are all these cubs? They're a variety of different ages here at the moment. So the smaller ones, I reckon, are only about 4 months old, 4 or 5 months old, maybe a little bit more than that, give or take. There's some slightly older ones that must be about 6 months, and then the taller ones that are causing all the trouble this afternoon. They look like there's two. I've seen 2 older boys, and they must be just over a year or so. But I would say between 4 months and a year and a half. I don't know if how many are from each female. There's one lioness that's got, I think is it 3 little ones? The 3 smallest ones, or the 4 smallest ones, belong to one of the obviously one of the females, and then the rest I'm not certain. But of course you can just sort of group them in ages there. Look at that white belly stands out though. So we know that their coloration and all those spots help with camouflage. But as soon as they roll over, especially against the green grass, they really do stand out like a sore thumb. Oh, careful. Oh, that little one's fighting back, isn't it? It's actually giving his older sibling a run for his money. Now, Paula, you said you love it when they play like this. Not Paula, was it Snazzy? I may have just mixed up names and questions all of a sudden. I'm not so sure. I'm so sorry, Megan. Can I have that whole thing again? Let me try this for a second time. So it was from Snazzy, not Paula. Paula was asking lots and lots of questions this morning. I think I've got Paula on the brain. Sorry about that, Snazzy. It really is entertaining to watch. See, now they've all just stopped. What are they looking at? They've spotted another cub that I think is using the luxury facilities just in the bushes there, and that's what they turned their attention to. And there's some of the adults as well. You can see just laying behind that young cub that is in the squatting position. That looks like one of the lionesses. And I suppose lucky for them this afternoon that they are away from the kids, or at least just lying off to the edge, because next, once they have woken up, they're going to start climbing on the adults and start demanding food. And they need to eat. I think they're going to go after something tonight. Well, at least they're going to try. Oh, can also just start to hear the white-browed cuckoos calling. There's lots of guinea fowl. Also alarming in the distance. There were a few that were quite close by here, so I wonder if they hadn't seen the lions, and now that all is just being passed on. Space Chief, you're wondering, how long does it take for sort of signs of a mane to develop on a young male lion? Well, let's have a look. That's fine. There's a couple of young males in here. Actually, you know what was a good example, Craig, was that... well, there we go. The one on the left, top left, you can just start to see the sort of mohawk on top of his head. You see that? And it almost looks like he's got a very hairy chin. So the mane normally starts to grow on the chest first, and then it goes around, and they get a little mohawk. And you can normally start to see that from about 8-9 months old. You know, if you look very closely and to the well-trained eye, you could probably pick it up a bit earlier. But now you can look at these boys, you can see that mane is just starting to develop quite clearly now. Those two are naughty. They've gotten to the point now where they have started stalking cars. They are really troublesome. So that's going to be fun. Yeah, all using the luxury facilities now. We're going to get up and move about. one young lass deciding whether she's going to sharpen her claws or not. Yes, that's a nice tree. And it's important that they do that as well. When they stretch up and scratch on trees, not just because they're trying to be destructive. Obviously, cats at home do it to your curtains and your couches, which we don't enjoy, but they have to. It helps strengthen the very important tendons that they have in their feet, and it also helps sharpen their claws and get rid of the old nail sheath. So they need to do it on a regular basis. Well, we're going to sit here for, I think, quite some time, see what the adults get up to. Hopefully they wake up and we'll watch these little ones play. Tristan has managed to navigate around and find a better view of the grey giants.
I have indeed. I've now got a nice clear view of one at least. The rest of them are still filing out slowly. It seems as though there's only a group of 4 or 5 that are together. It's not short trunk's herd as well. I've checked all the adults. There's no short trunk in any of them, and also she wouldn't behave the way that these guys have and have been super shy. But at least they're now coming out into the open. I can see 1 or 2 others slowly moving along, and hopefully they're going to come out as well. At the moment it's all kind of quite sedate. Now I did investigate where those birds were alarm calling, but I couldn't find anything. The thing is, where we were is we couldn't see above and on top, so it could have been a multitude of different things. It could have been a mongoose, it could have been an African hawk eagle that maybe flew through the thickets and away, or a African harrier hawk, or anything, maybe even a Wahlberg's eagle. There's a number of different predators that could have been around that we might just have missed from being down in the drainage. So unfortunately, no sign of anything, and our elephants are still meandering along. They really aren't sitting long in one place. Even though they're feeding, they feed bits off a bush and then onward they go. They seem to be a little on the shy side. So from here, once this one disappears, I'm going to leave them to themselves and go and see if I can find this cheetah. And slowly she's moving away, and she's got a bit of attitude, this particular individual. She's been a bit of a handful, actually. Even now, when she was coming past us, she kind of turned towards us and shook her head a little bit, and so I'm not going to push her any further. She's made herself abundantly clear that she's tired of us, and so we're going to let her go and disappear into the thickets and away from us. But absolutely wonderful to see her. Super cool surprise to find Ellie's out in Djuma again, and hopefully this is what's sort of going to open the floodgates, so to speak, and we're going to get many an elephant coming back to Djuma and spending time in this area again. It's wonderful to see them though, and hear them, and kind of have their presence back in this area again. Right, VM, let's go find you a spotted cat. We'll put VM through a lot, and so a spotted cat is time. I think it's about time. And so I was saying earlier that we had some antics going on today, and today has been one of those days at work where I have laughed quite a bit during the day. And I was telling you that we cleaned the cars, and so we've had a situation today where we're cleaning all over the place, and you know, the FC girls cleaned FC, we cleaned the vehicles and so on, and we all helped each other, and it was quite entertaining. But Kristen, I believe you're wondering what bugs we found in the vehicle. Well, in the vehicle, not too many, funnily enough. I think there was the odd spider. There was a violent spider at some point, and a brown button spider, but they unfortunately were evicted. It was time to no longer live in Rusty. We know how they are. They often lay their eggs in the radio, and next thing there's baby spiders everywhere, and it's just really not ideal. So they were evicted, and other than that, not too much, funnily enough. There was a few dead moths, a couple chafers that were around. I think 1 or 2 praying mantises that I saw, but that's it. It wasn't as bad as I thought they would be, and there was definitely no snake or lizard or anything hiding away at all. But there was a massive debacle today, and the debacle was that VM unfortunately got a bit abused by the girls in camp, and I say this because VM has his bathroom that he uses, and you know, we were talking about the other day how he's got his pet frog at the moment that is just arrived out of nowhere and decides that VM's little laundry bag is where it needs to, or his toiletry bag is where it needs to sit, and it watches over as security over his toothpaste and his deodorant and his shaving cream and all kinds of other things. And if anybody comes to grab it, then it just kind of comes out and gives them a fright. And Megan learned the hard way today, because she was trying to clean up in the bathrooms and kind of with Jerry, and she went and she tried to grab VM's toiletries to throw them away, and the frog came out and there was screaming and Megan running out shouting and screaming that there was a frog, and that led to hysterical bouts of laughter from myself and Jerry as we watched Megan sort of trampling around all over the place. So then VM wasn't around, and then they went and they started throwing a lot of VM's toiletries away, some of his older toiletries, and so VM then I had to quickly call in reinforcements to try and get VM's stuff saved, because as much as I pleaded that his stuff was there and that we must leave it all alone, they were throwing it away, and VM came and he then saved all of his things, which is very, very good. Yeah, they even threw a bar of soap away, VM. I know, it's disrespectful, I tell you. And then Jared came and removed the frog and said, where is he going to take it? And VM quickly put a stop to all of this. He managed to get his soap back. His frog is now back where it wants to be, because VM says he's moved the frog, but the frog keeps coming back. So the frog is back where it wants to be as protector of the toiletries in the bathroom. And well, hysterics were pretty much the order of the morning. Like I say, I was absolutely dying with laughter it was something out of a scene out of Fawlty Towers. So for those of you who know Fawlty Towers, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But we did giggle and laugh about it. And so then we proceeded to get to lunch, and lunch became a rather funny affair too. I wasn't actually there, but I got told all about it later, and for lunch we had little mini pizzas, and they were made with sun-dried, I'll call them deconstructed mini pizzas. They were made with sort of sun-dried tomatoes and feta and herbs and all kinds of other things. And so VM says to Megan, it's my second favorite day, and so Megan looks at him puzzling and says, well, what is your first favorite day if mini pizzas is your second favorite day? And VM said to her apparently with a very blank expression, Christmas. And so apparently VM, Christmas is your favorite day? Yes?
No, well,
VM is smiling.
Might beat it now.
Which one? Mini pizza day?
No, it depends. What about Leopard Day?
Leopard Day. Leopard Day does beat Christmas Day, so VM saying Leopard Day and Christmas Day are his two favorite days. But anyway, mini pizzas is his favorite. But then all of this fell apart completely, because VM doesn't really like fancy cheese. VM, is that the right word? Fancy cheese. Yes, fancy cheese. Exotic cheese. So VM doesn't like exotic cheese, which apparently feta is on the exotic cheese list. It's almost like a banned animal trade. You cannot put feta on his mini pizza, and so VM had to kind of rework his pizzas and remake them. But he's all happy now and he smiles. He's had his mini pizza, he's seen some elephants. Now I've got to just find him a leopard, and I think I will have made VM's day complete. And so it's been an entertaining day, but I can't actually stop laughing at the thought of that bathroom scenario, because at one point I was hidden in one bathroom crying with laughter as VM was trying to rescue his frog and his soap, because he was being attacked from all sides by Megan and Jerry and Jared, and there was just absolute laughter kind of breaking out everywhere. Jerry, I think, was also in tears with me, and I and so because of this whole thing that was going on where people were throwing things away, it was toiletries from everybody else, and so I decided that it was the perfect time to play the thrift shop song. And so those of you who don't know the thrift shop song, it's this kind of upbeat tune about the thrift shop, and it just was something out of that scene as everybody was trying to scramble to kind of save their goods and also go and harvest the goods of others who have left their things behind. So it was just a ridiculous scene, but one that I won't forget in a while. I did have a good chuckle today. It was very, very funny. But anyway, but I'm going to carry on up and towards Buffelshoek Dam, because VM is just giggling behind the camera, smiling at me, also at the thoughts of the day's proceedings. And so while we kind of vent our laughter and vent our happiness, let's go back across to Brent Leo Smith, who I believe has got two very, very lazy, very chilled lions to show all of you.
Oh, hello. Sorry, we got caught a bit unawares there. Sorry, Megs. Here we go. The all pride, fast asleep. Very, very close to Governor's Camp. We can actually hear the staff just behind. So I haven't seen any sign of the little cubs. So they're probably hidden in the lugger where they normally live. And unfortunately for the lions, and they're looking quite well fed. And I think one of the lionesses that is with the... Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you. So we found another lioness with a male lion, that one that was sleeping in the trees. So we left them. They were very, very much fast asleep, just like this lot are. And they've obviously had a good feed in the last little while, judging by their bellies. And which is very good if you have little cubs, to feed as much as possible to produce milk. And they have been spotted, however, by the closest animal to them, which is the zebras. And just off to our right, and they're watching the lions intently in the trees. Now, there's two animals that haven't seen the lions. One of them is watching us quite intently, or actually both of them are. And they do have a very funny look on their face, especially that one on the left. Hello, pigs. They are funny-looking creatures. So these are probably last year's babies, just judging from their side. Now, you can see while their big tusks are developing, you see that very distinct white sort of fur on their chins. Now, that is there to help emulate tusks. Oh, we've got a little dance going on at the back there. Sorry, a little bit to the right there, Ferg. Where did they go? Here we go, the little Temex coursers. Yes, look at him, he's trying to impress the ladies. Come here, lady. Don't run away from me, lady. Oh, I got two ladies. I'm so popular. I'm so popular, I'm going to puff my chest up. Here we go, Temex coursers. Now, piggies, where are you going? I wouldn't run too far this way. You might find yourself on the dinner menu. Look, they're quite curious. They're coming up to us. So as you can see, that while their tusks are developing, those white fur on the side of their face is there to emulate larger tusks than they actually have. Says, yes, they do. They are very funny-looking little critters. They can get very big. A big male warthog can weigh well over 100 kgs. Big. A little female. I think they might smell the lions. You see how they're lifting their noses? They haven't seen them, but they maybe smell them with the wind direction. Now, once they realize that there are lions there, and they guarantee it, you will watch them turn around and scuttle at a very fast pace. The warthogs do not like to hang around where there are lions. At the moment, they're running sort of towards the lions, but you can see how they're running and testing the air to try and get the scent. Oh, there we go. Confirmed. I can smell a lion. Oops, sorry, Ferg. I'm out of here. Piggy. Bye, pigs. I don't think they see them. They definitely smell them. There's this behavior. They're lifting their nose. They can see the zebras are alert as well, so... the zebras are staring straight at the lions. One just rolled over, so as pigs, I'd suggest going away from this area. Is that a lion? I'm not sure, Maurice. I'm pretty sure it's a lion. Why don't you go have a look closer? No, you go have a look closer. That intense focus to where the lions are. Theodore was wondering how good is a warthog's eyesight. It's pretty good. The one thing a warthog has is it's vertically challenged. So even though their eyesight is quite good, being so low to the ground, they often don't see things as well as certain other animals. Is that one missing the tip to its tail, the front one? Oh dear. Now you might have had a very close, a very close run-in with a lion if you're missing the tip to your tail. And now they're going. Again, they're going to run across. Now, of course, their hole might be in the area where the lions are. The lions might not have been there when they went out this morning. Not looking as sure. You can see that going forward quite tentatively. like Aiden, who's 6 years old. Aiden would like to know, what do warthogs like to eat the most? Aiden, they like to eat grass, and particularly grass roots and bulbs. So they'll actually dig them up. Their nose is very, very hard, and they'll use their nose to dig up little bits of roots and stuff under the ground. They do like certain fruits as well, but grass is their favorite food. Big piggies. Sniff, 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 sniff. I really like the one at the back's whiskers. I just want to wait a little bit. If these warthogs are going to run towards where the lions are, they are getting closer. They're probably about 50, 60 meters. No. And we're off again. Okay, well, our warthogs decide that area is definitely not safe for tonight. Let's go back to Madam McCurdy and the playful Angamas.
That's exactly what we've got. They haven't actually stopped. They've settled down a little bit since you were last with us. Some of the older ones acting a bit more civilized now, not chasing one another around and tackling each other to the ground, which makes my heart a little bit sad because I quite enjoy it when they do that. But it is beautiful, and luckily for the lionesses, they haven't started harassing them just yet. But I'm sure that won't take too long before they go back there. And have you noticed there's that one little lion cub that's watching the others? It's chewing a stick, and it's been chewing a stick the entire time and not really wanting to play with anybody. I suppose that's probably quite nice. Just keep to yourself. You always get ones that are a little bit shy, and then you get others that just want to be the center of attention, like all the presenters at Wild Earth. We're all guilty of that. Now, here's an interesting question from Adele, and it is, at what age do I think lion cubs are most entertaining? Well, Adele, there's various stages of a lion's life that I really enjoy. So when they're really tiny and young, it's always just amazing if you found a den and they're particularly small. If you're lucky enough to see them, the process of them opening up their eyes, taking their first steps as they wobble around, and then slowly gaining muscle in the first few weeks of their life, and it will allow them to balance a bit easier. So that's quite nice. And then you start to hear how vocal they get, and so that's quite nice. And then once they've up their feet and the lionesses introduce them to the pride, I enjoy that part as well. The sort of curiosity on the faces of the older cubs as they're sort of like, what on earth is this thing? Does it bite? Can I touch it? Can I pick it up? And you often see the older siblings trying to pick up the really young cubs too. So that's cool. And then imagine it's a little lion that's only a couple of weeks old, and then fighting back, snarling like we were talking about now, but really having to be serious with the older ones to say, hey, listen, I'm a little thing. Don't be too rough with me. And then when they start showing interest in birds, that's quite funny. It's normally 3-4 months old, 5 months, they think that they're the greatest hunters that have ever existed, chasing after anything that dare moves. And then when they realize that they enjoy trees, or figure out that they can go up those tall things, or at least try and practice, that's amazing. And I've had some of the most incredible sightings within Djuma Pride. They're my tree climbing lions, especially the litter of cubs that they have at the moment. Although they're so big, they're not even cubs anymore. They'll be sub-adults. I can't even imagine how big the Nkuhumas, the youngsters, must be now. And then, of course, you can see sticks are obviously a favorite toy amongst cats. It's nice when they're teething and chew on it instead of chewing on mom's tail or mom's ear. And I'm sure that she appreciates it too. And then now I was also telling you just a moment ago about those two older males that have decided that they like to stalk the cars now and want to know what's inside the vehicles. That's always entertaining. It keeps you on your toes. And then watching lions learn how to hunt. That's cool. And we've been seeing that lots with the sausage tree pride, the small sausage tree pride, and how upset those adults get when they ruin the hunts. But it's important. They have to do it. They've got to learn somehow. Now, Proud Cat Mama, you're wondering if any of the cubs are involved in hunting yet? No, not just yet. Maybe the older ones will be, going along with the adults and watching. But I would assume, and from what I've seen with the Angama Pride, is because the other cubs are so much younger, the old ones actually stay with them. I haven't seen the 4 bigger cubs actually going around with the adults at all, which is interesting because the small sausage tree pride cubs are much younger than the ones that we've got here, but they're very curious. They're quite keen. They want to go with the adults constantly. Maybe it's because maybe they feel nervous. They don't want to be left alone, which is also a possibility. Or they're just exceptionally keen hunters. Not all lions are very good at hunting. Some will be better at it than others, just as some of us are better sprinters. Others can run marathons. The same thing goes for the different animals out here. So that's always quite interesting. So hopefully, it's easier if these lions would just go into the non-off-roading area. Then we could really follow them. A lot of the times they move so far out of the way and into the open areas that we can't really see them anymore. And I've been complaining that the wildebeest didn't do a particularly good job at mowing the grass down. So it does make it tough for us. Woo! That was cheeky. Hey? You can't take your sibling when it's not looking. Look at this. That's very naughty. Now, Alana, who is one of our younger viewers, you're only 14 years old. I love hearing from you, Alana. You're wondering whether I've ever seen a little lion actually tailing after mom and not wanting to get left behind. Oh yeah, most certainly. It actually happens more often than you think, and you'll see they get so angry. They'll start to growl, start to snarl, their ears will go back, their tails will start twitching. Eventually though, they do learn. They go, okay, right, mom's being serious now, she's not joking around this afternoon. I've been told to stay. So they will. If they want food, they know that mom has to go off and get them something. They're not going to be able to survive without being left behind. Oh, there we go. 4 little lions having a go. I really wish they'd try and climb that tree. I think those older cubs do a very good job. I love the way they sit almost like leopards on their bottoms. And we've had some cool sightings. I don't think I've ever put it live before where you see a leopard sitting on basically its hindquarters, paws in the air, trying to stare over the tall grass. I think David and Brent actually had an incredible sight. I think it was Brent or James here in the Mara, where they had a leopard doing that. There's actually some beautiful footage from that sighting. So I love it when those little ones do that. Everyone's having to go now. See, this is what's so incredible, is that we can still sit here and enjoy the sighting until the sun goes down. You can hear the vehicles now moving around. They unfortunately have got restrictions and they have to head back to camp. Aren't we spoiled? Now, Stephen, you're wondering, when do these little lions get their big, powerful roar? Well, they will eventually find their voices. I would say from anywhere from between 1 year and 2 years, probably around 1.5 years or so. Well, they will try. They're exceptionally good at communicating with all the other sounds straight from when they're born. So they can make this sort of meow, meow, typical contact call and other sounds that they'll normally make. They can do that from the day that they are born. That roar does take a bit of time to develop, and it's quite funny if you're lucky enough. And I haven't actually had it very many times where I've had whole prides roaring and then the youngsters trying to chime in. So they'll attempt it, but it doesn't quite come out like they want to. There's a little one going towards the tree. Actually, Craig, let me reposition because we've now got some gaps. Everyone's just up and moved off, which is great for us. So let me try and get a nice spot here. Oh, that's so much better. Oh, that's nice. There we go. Now, obviously, we took a back seat. I wanted to make sure that all the photographic guests that had their very large lenses got the best spot. And like I said, because I know that we're going to eventually have this sighting, and not too long away, we're going to have the sighting all to ourselves. So I try and always give the guides the best opportunity while there's a little bit of light. But it's fading quickly, though, and the clouds are quite thick this evening, so I don't think there's much of a sunset. It's going to set right behind the escarpment. So we'll be putting our infrared on relatively early this evening. Now, little ones, please can you go across? Can you start jumping on the adults now and tell them to get moving and start leading you back towards the escarpment so that we can drive wherever we want to? And also, there's plenty of food there for you that I think you would all find delicious. I'd love to know what's going through their minds. They must be so busy, like this one that's closest to us. What are you staring at? Are you watching your sibling? No, it's watching the cars. Completely fixated on the vehicles. Now, we're not parked anywhere near them. You saw as Craig zoomed out. We're particularly far away. Now staring across at us. Oh, that's so beautiful. Now, Theodore, you're wondering if lions also eat grass for digestion purposes. Well, technically a lion's digestive system is pretty simple. Meat is not a particularly difficult thing to digest, so it's not as complex digestive system as a herbivore. However, they will eat grass, but they don't have the digestive enzymes to help break down the cellulose that you find in grass. So normally when lions eat grass, or like your cat at home, it's because they're feeling slightly unwell. Sometimes it's to help bring up hairballs, and then again, if you're just not feeling too well, it'll bring whatever is upsetting your tummy back up again. And Brent has had a couple of sightings where he's seen vomiting lions, which is quite interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a lion sort of vomit. I've seen them cough up hairballs and things. But, they're pretty robust creatures, so it must take quite a bit to upset the stomach of a lion. Imagine seeing a hyena do that. It would probably be very ill. Yes, you're very curious. You're going to come over and say hello. You can come over and say hello. We would quite enjoy that, actually. Oh, that's beautiful. And I really hope that you're all taking some screenshots, because this is stunning. So we're talking about aging cats. Another way you can age a lion is if you look at their tails, and this one was doing it quite nicely. Every now and then it flicks it up. And you see those little tassels just starting to develop? So that normally only comes around at about 4 or 5 months old. So that's another way that you can use to try and age them. But again, you must just keep in mind that every animal is slightly different and producing a different amount of hormones at any given time. So even though, say, its sibling may have started developing earlier, it could end up being a little bit later. But the lions are the only of the cats, big cats, that have a tassel like the lions do. Tigers don't have it, cheetahs don't have it, leopards don't have it, which is quite cool. And of course, when we know that that's a little follow me sign. But can you hear that, Craig? Or is it too soft? There's an elephant that's distressing, and that's what caught that little lion's attention. You saw it turn back and actually listen. That wasn't a very happy sound. It could have been a young teenager, though, wanting or playing too rough, an adult reprimanding it, or maybe it was an even younger elephant throwing a tantrum because it wanting to suckle. The mom doesn't want to stand still. Oh, here we go. I think we're going to have a stalk attack here. Wait. Oh, they're so precious. You just want to dive on in there and cuddle them. But, of course, that's the wrong thing to do. You don't want to be petting or touching any of these wild animals. Now, Joe, you're wondering at what age do the male lions start to get pushed out? So it depends. I've seen males up into the pride to 3.5, almost 4 years old. I suppose it just depends on how tolerant the males are. But typically, it's around 2.5, 3 years old that they get sent their bags packing. Oh, enough. That looked sore. That looked very, very sore. Those sharp teeth grabbing into his rump and pulling it back. That's terrible. You can't do that. That's not very nice. So there's quite a few males in this pride, actually. They don't sit still for long enough to even try and count how many males are here, unfortunately. But I'm trying to think. I think I've actually seen more boys than I have girls. Have I? I don't know now. We'll have to keep searching. When they show their bottoms, we'll try and have a little look. Yes, stretch up and climb. You've been wanting to climb that tree the whole day. I've been seeing you eyeing it out.